Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Mixed Signals. You guys, today I just want to come on and share a story time with you on, reasons, behaviors that allowed me to let go of my best friend. We haven't spoken in 7 years. I'm sure she's grown, changed, developed from, 7 years ago, so have I. However, I don't have space in my life for her, and nor do I care to be in her life. I'm very thankful that I had the experience because she definitely pulled the rug out from underneath me and exposed a lot of my triggers that allowed me to build my boundaries on a concrete foundation. I sealed every single crack, okay, where I haven't had this experience since. Now, I just want to say that before I met her, I had just moved back in with my mother, who was very emotionally, mentally unstable. She was abusive towards me. She was financially well off, stable, of course, because that's all these people, some of these people have, these mixers. Because that's the only way they can survive is if they financially are stable. And my mother had never taught me anything about boundaries. Okay, I just literally shoved everything down. Now, I started school in the first weekend. Nancy is like, "Hey, best friend. Hey, best friend. How's everything going, best friend? Hey, best friend." She did pretty well in the first module of cosmetology school, which is like basic haircuts and like learning techniques and stuff like that. We would mirror back to whatever the instructor was demonstrating. Now here we go into the second module, which is like a little bit of coloring. At the end, we do a competition called Avant-Garde, and then we're learning a little bit about like relaxers. They do a whole class on chemical relaxers. I think even perms. Now, for the end of, first let me say this. Since I wasn't doing so well, like financially, when I moved back in with my mom, I had started carpooling with Nancy, and I was delivering my promise of $30 a week for her to come pick me up for school and stuff like that. And so it was like $120 I was giving this person a month, you guys, and I lived about 15 minutes away from the school. So did she, and I was right on her way to school. So we had kind of gotten close and had a pretty tight connection right off the back, just because I'm carpooling with her every day, and we're talking about school, and we've got just high energy because we both, we're very interested in cosmetology. Now, let's get back to avant-garde. So it's the first time that I noticed that Nancy is mentally manipulative. The one thing that they asked us for our avant-garde was you cannot ask for any help. The number one rule, only rule, was no asking for help. You cannot ask students, instructors, clients. You cannot go next door to any of the restaurants, the library, the grocery store, okay? You can't ask for any type of help, okay? Now, this is like a 9-hour process. This was an all-day class or an all-day competition where from the beginning, where they said start, Nancy was going out into the hallway asking for help, going out, in the front of the building asking other students for help, asking certain instructors for help. You guys, to the point where I remember our instructor was like, "Hey, stop asking me for help, okay? You're gonna get disqualified. I cannot help you. This is all based off of your creativity." And there was about 10 other young women in our class, and I remember all of us kind of just looked at each other like, doesn't she know the rules or no? Like, so weird. And I would overhear Nancy say, "Oh, I'm not asking for help. I just want to know your opinion." Fast forward, the end of the competition. So we have clients coming in and judging, students coming in and judging. Then it comes to instructors. Now, the head instructor comes in, and right when she gets to Nancy, she goes, "You're disqualified, okay? We asked you not to ask anyone for help, and that's what you did all day. I heard you ask all of these instructors and students for help." Even students were going up to the head instructor saying, she won't, she keeps asking for help and da 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 da, whatever. Now, Nancy's like, "No, I never asked anyone for help. I was just asking what they thought of what I did." And Nancy's like trying to get all of us to like agree with her. And every single, even myself, we were like, you were going asking for help, Nancy. Like, come on. She's like, "No, I wasn't. and she's getting upset with all of us. The head instructor, finally picks the winner, and Nancy's like throwing a fit, you guys. And we've got like students in the room, we've got instructors, we've got clients in the room, where the head instructor was like, hey, so we're here to celebrate somebody who won. You didn't win. Do you want to come out and speak with me? Because we can have a conversation about this. And Nancy was like, no, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I don't even like you. And Nancy's like, I'm going outside. I don't want to be around any of you guys. You are all liars. And I'm kind of sitting there like, girl, but you were asking everyone for help. Like, come on, get it together. So, this is like the first instance that I see that she's got real issues, like with mental and like manipulative behavior, very childish. Mind you, she was 20 years old, but if you're in school, you have to have a little bit of maturity to say, I'm going to be able to handle what comes my way. I'm going to roll with the punches, right? Not her, not at all, not once. She treated everyone kind of like they're her sibling or something. So anyway, she ends up dropping out of beauty school on the 3rd month because they were asking for her finances, saying stuff like, hey, you got into school based off your parents' finances. We're going to start needing to collect some money from you. You didn't take out any loans. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to start paying to come to school. Nancy couldn't afford it. Her parents definitely couldn't afford it. So she was out. I still stayed around Nancy. Right after that, she complained for a little bit about, everyone's so negative and they treated me this way. And, I don't know what to do. I'm dropped out of school and I don't have anything. I don't have a job. She was really like not doing well. I think she just fell into a really bad depression because she didn't have anything. She didn't want to work. She didn't have a car. She didn't have any money. Couple months go by, like 3 months, and I end up getting a car. Her and I are hanging out. We're getting closer just because I have such a bad relationship with my mom that I'm like, oh, why not? And she had offered for me to have a place to stay if anything ever, went sour, popped off with my mom. And, obviously, finally it did. Where there was like one day I came back from out of town, and my mom locked every single door in the house, changed the locks, everything. And I was like, hey, I need to get into the house. My mom, she wouldn't pick up the phone. So I start calling my family members. The reason why my mom locked me out is because I told her parents, hey, she's not going to make it very much longer. She's an addict. So you guys better start planning her funeral. So her parents called her and told her what I said. And I'm like, well, it's true. She passed away not very much later after that from addiction overdose. So my mom got upset because I told the truth and locked me out. So I didn't have anywhere to go. So I said, hey, Nancy, my mom's locked me out. This is a situation. Can I stay with you for a couple months? Save a little bit of my money. I got a loan coming in. I got my car. I'm getting paid because my dad was in the military. I was like, just give me a couple months. I'll be out of your hair. She was like, you are literally saving our lives right now, Nicola, because we're trying to figure out how we're going to make our rent. And I'm like, well, I won't be able to pay. This was probably mid-month that this happened. And I'm like, well, I won't be able to pay you until the end of the month. Or excuse me, until like the 10th of the next month. It was like 3 weeks later. She was like, I don't even care. That's fine because that'll help us out. And I was like, sounds good. I'm just going to, grab what's in my car. And because I always had clothes and stuff like that. And I'll be on my way. Now, I get to her house and everything is fine for like 3 weeks. I'm still going to school, but Nancy lives like 45 minutes out of the city. And I'm like, oh my God, I barely have enough money right now to be driving back and forth. So I start staying at just different friends' houses and going to school in the morning and then staying at their house at night and just hopping, couch to couch or whatever. And she's cool with that. She doesn't even, she's not bothered by it. And finally I end up getting my check. So it's like, here's your rent. I pay $300 towards her and her boyfriend's rent. And this is when I started seeing Nancy becoming very emotionally abusive towards her boyfriend, where she was trying to kick him out basically. So when I had paid that rent, I started staying more, and then I would get up and go to school, 5 days a week. And like I said, Nancy was kind of a little depressed still because she didn't have a car. She had no job. She had nowhere to be. She had nowhere to go every single day, all day. kind of just watching life and everyone pass her by. Now, as I'm back staying at the house or whatever, because I've got money, she's starting to argue all the time with her boyfriend. And it's saying stuff like, you're not listening to me, we don't communicate, you're not supporting me, you're not, talking with me, you would rather drink, we don't even have food, and this and that and whatever. And she's like, I really want you to move out so we could take a break. I don't want you to be here anymore. And he's like, well, that's convenient, that now that you've got Nicola to move in and to help you out with the rent and this and that. He was like, that's really convenient. You don't want me here anymore. What, you want to date somebody else? You gotta, be sleeping with somebody else? This back and forth stuff like this where, I'm still staying at the house, but I'm like, I don't even want to hear these two fight. I've got my own problems. I got so many issues outside. Like, I don't need this. I'll just step outside, smoke a cigarette. Back when I used to smoke cigarettes. So I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. Don't want to be involved. Okay. Now, he ends up moving out of the house. Just because like every single day she's crying, like losing her mind. She's either screaming or crying at him. And then she would try and involve me in her fights, where finally he just ended up moving out and they were on their break, where he said, I'll still pay for the rent. He was like, but you really need to start looking for a job, because I can't be paying your rent on top of, helping my mom, because he moved back in with his mom. He was like, and paying for everything else. Now, like 2 weeks after he moved out, she started talking to this other guy. And probably the whole time she was talking to this guy, maybe on Facebook, maybe nothing sexual, but it definitely became sexual after her ex moved out, where this young man ended up coming over. Mind you, I'm still in school, still busy. Sometimes I'm staying at some friend's house in the city, just so I don't have to like be around all the drama and craziness in her life. Because I remember this day she called me and she said, hey, Nikki, are you coming home? I said, no, I'm not. I'll be staying with some friends, we're hanging out tonight or whatever. And she's like, okay, I'm going to have this guy come over. And I remember being like, girl, be careful, because your boyfriend is still paying the rent there. Like, he could show up at any time. His name is still on the lease. Like, you need to break it off completely. And she's like, I got this. I don't care. We're fine. He's not going to come over here. He's not crazy. And I'm like, yeah, he is. So are you. Now, she calls me the next day and she's telling me all about, her experience with this guy. And, they were like bunny rabbits all over the house, having a good time. And, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that, I have my own place and I have this, that, we're on the phone just laughing, giggling. And I'm like, all right, girl, I'm like getting ready to get off the phone with her. And I'm like, well, sounds good. I said, but don't get too out of control over there. I was like, your boyfriend is still really close by, let alone all his stuff is there. Okay. He could show up at any time. Now, from what she's telling me about this new guy, it's like, he's in the military, he does pretty well for himself, he's good looking, he's this, that, and whatever. I come from a military background from my family. And I'll say immediately, because she said she hadn't spoken with him, okay? So I remember immediately I go, hey, do you think that he's got like a girlfriend or something, or maybe engaged? And she was like, why? Why would you ask that? No, we're cool. He's my friend. And I was like, well, it just sounds like he only came over here just to smash and move on. Like, I don't know. This girl, you guys, the whole time is like texting him. I must have felt it, telepathically or whatever, because she was texting him for a while. Like, weeks are going on and she's like, hey, come over, like stuff like that. He's ignoring, not answering. You guys, to the point that his fiance had to let her know to stop reaching out to him. Like, called her up and said, hey, can you stop calling my fiance? I know you guys slept together that day. He doesn't want anything to do with you. He did what he did. He's done. We're getting ready to get married. Can you stop calling him? And this woman wasn't angry. She wasn't upset. And I just remember when Nancy was telling me this, she was just like dumbfounded. Like, I can't even believe that he was, and I was like, I asked you if he had a girlfriend, I thought it was really strange behavior. because he's not asking you to go out or hang out or do anything. So you guys, this girl like literally got rid of her boyfriend just to go and test the waters. Is the grass greener on the other side type of situation, which it was not. It was very black and dull, gross. Where he didn't want nothing to do with her after that. He was just trying to get, dip his little toes in and get out of there. you know and so I know that, I mean, somebody who's already depressed going through something like that, I know that was really hard on her, because again, this is somebody who's ignoring you and then finding out that he's engaged, and she has to be the one to tell you to leave him alone because you're not getting the hint of he's ignoring you. Now, so after this, you guys, I stopped hanging out around her house. I'm staying more in the city because, there's a few times that I had been late to school where I said there's no more of that. I don't want to be tardy anymore. They're going to make me pay every time I'm tardy, like $10. So I have to show up every time on time. So I'm going to start staying in the city more. Now, this is when, again, she kicked her boyfriend out. They were just broken up on a break, and this is when Nancy starts calling me every single day, checking my whereabouts, to the point, you guys, where I say, hey, Nancy, you're not my mom. Like, you shouldn't be calling me every day, checking on me. I told you I'm staying with some friends. Girl, don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay, not a big deal, And she was like, I know, but like all your stuff is here and I'm by myself and I'm just depressed and I have nothing to do. And I'm like, oh, like you could go get a job, like make yourself busy, do something, where I was like, you don't have to check on me, Now, still staying in the city, she's still calling me all the time, where finally it's like, I don't know, a week or two goes by and I'm back at the house, and she's like, hey, you can use any of my products, because I hadn't bought any kind of like shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Like, that's how long it had been since I was there. Where I was like, oh, cool, thank you, sounds good. I used some of her stuff, and now I'm staying at the house again. And then, you guys, I'm starting to become tardy again. Here it is where our rent is being due again. Her ex-boyfriend finds out that she had slept with somebody else, and he's refusing to pay his portion of the rent, so she has to get her dad involved, and she's crying, and once again going like this. Okay. He's very upset with her, like starting to move some of his stuff out, because he's like, you just wanted to go and be a HOE. You just wanted to go and, dip your feet in and da 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 da. And now, again, I'm like, oh, let me pull back. I don't want to be around this drama. I don't want to be, he's not paying the rent. Now she's like crying because her dad has to pay it. And he's like yelling and screaming at her, like, you need to get a job, figure your life out. Don't depend on me. I have 3 kids I'm raising. Like, my family doesn't have the money for this. Now, I'm still going to school, back in the city, staying with other friends, where I just figured I'm going to move out, I found something else that would work out for me that was much closer to my school, where I was like, yeah, I'll just grab my stuff and move out, but I'll have to make like 2 trips. And, I end up telling her, and, she's definitely not happy about it, and she's not really receiving the information well, because I'm like, yeah, I just found this place with my friend. It won't be for like another month, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay you rent, but that wouldn't matter because we're only month to month anyway. And, I just need to leave some of my stuff there, but I'll be staying with another friend out here. And, but I got to make sure I finish school. And, Nancy's like, I'm going to have to find another roommate. I'm going to have to do this, that, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, girl, we'll do what you got to do. So I end up coming out to her house with one of my guy friends. It's like a guy I'm dating at the time. And he's like laying on the couch, has his feet up. I go take a shower, and from what I remember, Nancy's cool with me using her shampoo or conditioner and her body wash, And I'm still there to grab some of my stuff. And I get out of the shower, get ready, and here comes Nancy around the corner screaming and yelling at me about how I've used all her products, her hair products, her body wash, and I owe her half of the rent for the next month, and I owe her products, and I just use her and all her stuff. And, I was like, that's really like strange that you're yelling at me when I paid rent here, let alone you told me I could use all this stuff. she's upset because the guy has his, feet on her couch. He's like laying down with his feet up. And she's like, and he's got his feet on my couch, and that's gross. And oh my God, I don't want you guys here. Oh my God, I'm just so depressed and everything's wrong. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like screaming at me. And I go, Nancy, I asked the guy to step out for a minute. I go, Nancy, are you okay? And she was like, no, I'm not okay. I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent. You're leaving. I have to move somebody in here. He's not going to help me with the rent. And my dad's definitely not going to help me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I feel like you had so much time to figure your life out. Like you've had months to get a job. Mind you guys, I think her rent was only like $600, $700. So I'm like, you've had so much time to figure something out, let alone you made the choices that you made. I don't want to be here because you have so much drama, So I end up leaving. Things kind of got left a little like messy with her, but I was like, I'm going to take some of my stuff. I'm going to leave, I'll be back in like a week to come get my other stuff. I ended up coming back like 9 days later to get the rest of my stuff. However, this time when I showed up, you guys, it was like Nancy and her dad completely set me up. I had showed up parking lot, and probably like 3 minutes after I showed up, her dad, I seen him come like swinging around the corner, to the point where I was like just standing there watching him pull in his minivan with his wife on the side in the passenger seat and his 3 kids in the middle seat, and they're all like this holding on to the like in the back seat, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on, and don't have a clue it's for me, and her dad comes screaming, like, you guys, he's screaming at me so bad he's spitting, and I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, no, you're not going to get your stuff. No. And I'm like, yeah, I am. What are you talking about? And I look back, and his wife is like, his kids are leaning over like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get my stuff. What do you mean? I paid my rent here. He's like, no, because you owe another month. And I was like, no, I don't. Actually, I don't pay rent until the 10th, which was our agreement. And I was like, your daughter's a liar. I was like, I'm going to grab my stuff and leave. And he's like, no, you're not. You're going to pay rent first. And I'm like, you can't make me do anything because you don't live here, And Nancy's like sitting there like with her like looking at me like this, and I'm like, you're gonna give me my stuff back or we're gonna have problems. I was like, I will get my stuff back, and her dad is like yelling at me, but I'm like, you're not my dad. I could care less. I'm a grown up. Like, I'm 24 years old. I don't care. I was like, you can yell at your daughter, but not me. And then literally neighbors were coming out of their apartment complexes being like, you need to calm down. You need to leave. You're acting crazy. You need to get out of here. And they're like, you're going to have to get out of here too. If you can't control the people that come to your apartment, and they're getting angry at each other. They're getting angry at the neighbors. And I was like, you know what? I'll be back. This is so messy. This is so ghetto and disgusting. I got to go. I said, but I will be back for my stuff. You can bet on that. Now, I'm so confused because I'm like, I paid her and I've communicated with her, where I'm like, why would I pay for a month just because she has no money? And that's what her dad, he was yelling at her, like, you don't have a job. I always have to help you out. My family's lacking. And I'm just sitting there like, thinking in my head, like, what a hot mess. Over $700? Yikes. So here it is like 5 days later. I did my whole schooling, stuff like that. And then it was like, I was on my weekend. And so I'm calling Nancy. I'm texting her, hey, I need the rest of my stuff. She's not picking up not one of my calls or texts. Completely ignoring me. So I said, okay, that's fine. I said, give her a couple more days. Now it's like 10, 11 days, 12 days later, and less than 2 weeks. And I finally say to her, if I don't get my stuff back today, if you don't call me, I'm calling the police on you. I said, I have witnesses to what happened. Guys, 10 minutes later, okay, you can come get your stuff. Okay. Show up at Nancy's house, you guys. Excuse me. Nancy has another person living with her. Yeah, this young woman, her age, they went to high school together. short brown hair. And this woman is like literally doing moves on, not moves, but standing by a stripper pole and like leaning on it, where I'm like, what the heck has happened in less than 2 weeks in this house? And Nancy, you guys, is acting like nothing ever happened. She was like, yeah, Nicholas, so I'm going to start working at the strip club and I'm going to make so much money because she makes good money and we like look alike. And yeah, you should come see me. And I was like, so is my stuff still in the room or did you guys move it all out for her to move in there? Let alone, I was like, you caused all this mess and chaos just to move somebody in here and get their rent. Like, what were you trying to do? Get both of our rents? I was like, dude, you're insane. Like, whoa, you're crazy. She was totally cool about it, calm, collected. She's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to be so rich. I'm going to make so much money. Mind you, I had made a joke with her months prior to this, like 4 or 5 months prior, before I moved in with her, where I was like, maybe you should go work at a strip club. I don't know. I mean, you got a tight little body. You're a hottie toddy. Like, why not? You don't have to take all your clothes off. I was like, but girl, you really don't have any like motivation to do anything. Joking. Why don't you do that? No, I would never do something like that. I'm so much better than those type of people. I'm like, we'll see. Here she is, right? Had a whole pole in her living room, and is like literally going on her way to go work at a strip club. So after I get the rest of my stuff, she's like trying to talk to me. I just grab my stuff and leave. Like, she's still trying to talk to me as I get in my car and drive away. Where I'm like, bye. Like, I'm good on you, dude. I don't want to speak to you. So it's about 4 months later, and I hadn't talked to her, hadn't seen her. I'm still in school, getting ready to graduate from my school, and Nancy shows up to the school. And Nancy has a car and she's like trotting around telling everybody, showing off how I'm a model. I'm a print model. I model now. So yeah, I'm doing so well for myself. You guys, literally to the point that there was like 5 girls walking. It was almost like a scene out of Mean Girls. And they were like, you don't even go here. Why are you here? And Nancy was like, oh, I was just coming to see how everyone's doing. Mind you, she barely went to school for 3 months. Guys, this is almost a year later, where I'm like, why would you show up? And I'm hearing this in the background. I'm like, why would you show up to a school that you don't even go to and show off? Like, you are so down bad. You have to be down bad. Like, you're insane to do something like that. Now, they're like laughing at her, making fun of her, and she's just standing there with her friend like, yeah, so I just came to let you guys know I have a new car and like I'm modeling and yeah. And everyone was like, you don't even go here. Like, what? So you came somewhere you don't even go just to tell us? Okay. And she's like, yeah, so, like playing it off, delusional. One thing about, you know what, you guys, these people, they're so delusional. 1000% delusional. Okay. If you choose not to be delusional with them, they are going to suffocate you with delusion. That is one thing I know about them. So here she's being Nancy delusional, and these girls who are laughing and making fun of her walk off, and they're like walking around in a circle around, the floor. And I think these were seniors like getting ready to graduate too, but they were like before I did. And Nancy's like going up to people she was in certain classes with, and she's like, yeah, so I got a car and I've got this and I'm modeling. And they were like, sorry girl, I have a client right now, I can't talk to you, that's rude to talk to you while I have a client. The director of the school had to say, come on in here, Nancy, because she saw how she was bothering everyone. She also, what are you doing here, with their door wide open in her office? And Nancy was like, well, I was just coming to let you know I'm modeling now, and I'm doing this, and I have a car now, and I'm doing that, and oh, I moved into a different place, and my boyfriend and I got back together, and yeah. She was like, so you're making pretty good money modeling? And she's like, no, I don't make any money. I remember when I heard that, I was like, you're not even making, then how'd you get the car? My first thought was, how'd she get this car? And then I was like, I don't even care. So I'm finishing my, I think I was doing a perm, because you have to do so many perms. It's like, ugh, the last thing you wait and do is your perms. And I just started putting all my raws down and my papers, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk out and go smoke a cigarette. I can't even hear this mess anymore. So Nancy comes closer over to my side. She gets done talking with the director, and she comes closer to my side. One of the instructors stops her, and they were like, hey, why don't you come outside with me and talk for a minute? Like, they're literally trying to usher her out of the school. And there comes the girls again around, the floor. And Nancy's like, yeah, so my boyfriend got this car. Do you guys want to come see it? And we moved into a new place, and I'm modeling. And they were like, girl, you already told us all that. And what do you mean your boyfriend got the car? It's not even your car. And these girls start laughing at her. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was so embarrassing and humiliating. I walked away. I was like, I don't even want to watch somebody, even though she did what she did to me. I don't even want to watch you be in some situation like that. I don't care if you're my worst enemy. That was a horrible experience. I could just feel the pain. Now, I go outside, I smoke my cigarette, and here comes Nancy with her friend. And I'd met this friend before. I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. And then Nancy sees me, and she's all, hey, Nicola, how are you? I was like, I'm here at school where I should be. What's up? And she was like, oh, did you hear I got a new car? I said, no, I heard that your boyfriend got a new car. And she was like, yeah, he did get a new car. It's his car. And I was like, why would you come to a school and tell everybody that, you're like showing off, telling everybody all these things that you're doing and you're really not? Well, I am modeling. I said, girl, a print model? That's what, so what, you work every day modeling? And she's like, well, no, I just had one call. And I'm like, where are you? And I was like, you know what? It's all good. And then she's like, I'm so sorry, Nicola. And she just starts like, I'm so sorry about what I did to you. My dad did to you. And then she goes, by the way, that girl that I had living in my apartment, I went to the strip club one day with her, and she was trying to like pimp me out. She was like trying to sell me to the owner of the company, and it was like crazy. Like, she had to get out of my house, let alone she didn't even pay me for rent. So she like stayed at my house for, free. And I'm like, what goes around comes around. That's what you deserve. She's like, yeah, I got back with my boyfriend, and we're so much better off. We're going to get married. And I'm like, good for you. The more we were talking, I just started feeling so bad for her, because I'm like, you're such a liar. You're so manipulative that you have nothing better to do than to come to a school that you don't even go to and try and show off like you are depressed. Like, let alone you have to have a mental disorder, right? Insanity. Now, it's probably like 4 months after this that her and I, start talking again. We're hanging out a little bit here and there. She's 21. We go out a couple times, and I'm the kind of person, when I'm out, I don't accept drinks from people. I don't need people. I have before, but I'm not 99% of the time. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to drink with other people, because I feel like if I accept something from you, then you feel like you could take my time. You feel like you could be all up in my face, and I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in entertaining you. That's not what I have time for. I like to enjoy myself when I'm out. And at this time, I'm working like 2 jobs, going to school, like finishing school, where I'm like, I don't have time for that. Where a couple times I went out with her, and I'm like, girl, I'm good. The last time that I went out with her, we had just came out of this nightclub. We went out from 10 to like 2 in the morning, and her boyfriend ended up dropping us off in my car, because he didn't want to take his car out, because something with like the exhaust, something was going on, where he's like, I don't want to get pulled over. I'll get a ticket. I can't afford a ticket. We're barely able to make our rent right now. And he was like, can I just drive your car, drop you guys off? And I was like, yeah, as long as you don't do anything crazy, don't be going out riding around in my car. He's like, okay, yeah, no problem. Now, her and I are out, he drops us off. He comes and picks us up at, it's like 1:45, 2 in the morning. And we're walking down the steps of the nightclub, and I'm like, come on, call your boyfriend, Nancy, let's go. I don't want to be like, let's go. I'm tired, girl, my feet hurt. And she was like, no, come on, let's hang out with these guys. Let's go and, let's hang around. They're all hanging out. And every time she would be around like Black people, she would be like, this is like the movies. Like, she would be in awe. You know, I truly believe she was obsessed with black people, okay? She would be like, oh my gosh, this is like the movies. And I would be like, oh, you're so weird. Like, why do you talk like, you know? Um, she's like, come on, let's go talk to these guys. And I'm like, girl, I'm not going to talk to them. I don't care. I'm not interested in entertaining of these men. Like, they're talking to every single female. I don't need it right now. I have other stuff to do. Like, I want to go home. Like, what is wrong with you that you're always seeking this attention? And so she's like, come on, Nicola, you're so boring. And I'm like, no, you're boring. You barely have any money. And I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm walking across the street. One thing that she loved to do was hip hop dance, you know. She's a good dancer, where to the point where I'm like, why don't you do your little hip hop dance for them? Like a group of black guys. I'm walking across the street, and they formed a circle around her, okay, two-stepping. And I'm sitting there walking back like, oh my God, not the black people. I'm like, oh no. Hence, she was not black. Okay. Light, 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 light. Now, I said to her, I was like, Nancy, let's go. Like, as I'm like, come on, girl, get out of there. She's like, come on, girl, let's do it. Come on, Nicola. And I'm like, oh no, not today. Not today. So I get all the way across the street. I'm just staring at her like her boyfriend is going to pull around this corner. Boom, that fast. Here comes her boyfriend. And I'm waving him down like, hey, you know, again, he's in my car. He looks over at me, looks around me, and he's like, I could just hear him be like, where is Nancy? He looks over, sees her in the middle of these black guys dancing. And did I tell you guys, by the way, Nancy is very insecure and jealous. He could not look at his phone. His phone could not light up without her checking it first. He was not allowed to go anywhere. He was not allowed to do anything. She's the one who broke up with him and then had sex with somebody else, okay, that never called her back. Now, her boyfriend was not allowed to even be with his friends hanging out with other women, okay? She was going to go and act a fool if he was. She was always popping up on him. Even if he was at work, she was popping up on him. Now, I seen him come around for the second time, and I'm really like waving, like, hey, stop the car. And he was like, Nancy! Like screaming, honking his horn. There's people behind him because we're downtown in the city. They're honking their horn at him to move out of the way. And there's nowhere in this area that we're at you could just pull over and park. You had to keep going all the way down the road where I was like, hey, you need to, you know, I'm like, come on, pull over. Here he goes for the third time where I'm like, Nancy, I'm like screaming her name to come over towards me. And she's just in the circle of the black guys, two-stepping, dancing, all this. And I'm like, oh, she's about to get hurt down here, for real. Her boyfriend comes around again. He just stops the car. Here comes Nancy walking across the street, you know, and I'm like, hey, pull down, you know, I'm telling him down, you know. There's a cop that drives by, and the cop's just looking at him like, you need, you know, like, you know, and I'm like, hey, come pull down here. You can't stop over here. He ends up stopping the car or whatever a little bit down the road, and I'm like, Nancy, he saw you over there. I was like, girl, he just went around like 3 times in a loop. I was like, he was screaming and honking at you. And she was like, for what? Why? I was like, because you're dancing in a circle of black men. What do you mean for what? You know, and she's like, I didn't do anything. That's fine. I don't care. Those are your friends. Just because I'm black? I was like, well, not all black people know each other, let alone I'm the one who told you I'm not entertaining them. I don't know them. I don't know them from Adam nor Eve. I'm like, girl, what? And so we walked to my car, and I get in the back seat because I'm like, oh, they're going to have to be next to each other because I don't want her reaching over, saying nothing crazy, you know, or reaching a hand over. I don't know how, you know, is she capable of slapping him because I know she's mentally and emotionally out of control. Guys, when I had seen her get into the car, she was like, hey, babe, hey, da, 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 da. And he was like, what the F are you doing in that circle of black guys? Sitting here, you know, twerking, doing this and that. And he was like, and you're sitting here thinking you're black or something. And she was like, oh, around Nicola's friends, you mean? He's like, those aren't her friends. She was on the other side of the road the whole time yelling for you to come her. I saw the whole thing. Are you crazy? You know, you treat me this way. And he's going off on her. And I'm like, Oh, we're still pulled over. That's good. We'll be okay. They're going to have their little session, yell and scream. They'll make up later. Guys, Nancy comes through the sunroof and just starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, smashing his skull in with her fists. I said, Nancy, that's enough. I was like, we got to get out of here. It's hot with police, let alone you are sitting here assaulting this man for literally seeing you, exposing you. I said, is she okay? Like, is she crazy? I said, no, you guys are going to drop me off at my house. I was like, we're going to talk about this tomorrow when you come drop my car off to me. I was like, girl, not cool, not okay. I said, never again. I was like, you should be in jail for that. They drop me off at my house. They go home. I see her in the morning. She's like, hey, girl, you want to go get some breakfast? You want to go and get some coffee or something? And I'm like, actually, no, I don't. I would like to talk about you punching your boyfriend in his skull 10 times. She was like, oh, I did that? What? With bloody? Yeah, you did that. You don't feel like your knuckles don't hurt? Your fists don't hurt? Oh, I don't remember. I remember going out with you, play by play. I remember going out with you like 10 o'clock. I remember we went to this bar, girl. I was drunk. I had like 3 drinks. I said, in 4 hours you had 3 drinks and you were drunk? And you drank water? I don't believe nothing you're saying, girl. Now, when I told her, are you okay? Like, one of the constant things I would be saying to her is, are you okay? I said, you don't remember punching him in his skull? She was like, no. And I'm like, again, your knuckles don't hurt? Your fists don't hurt? She was like, no, I don't remember. I did that? Oh my God, that's crazy. Huh. Do you want to go get coffee? That's when I said, oh, me and you won't go out ever again. I can't drink with you because you don't know how to act. That's not for me. I can never witness something like that again. Not for me. Let me get to the last time that I was around this person. Not the last time I was around her, but the last thing that I said, oh, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on her. Among multiple other things that had happened. But this last thing was when she got her wedding dress. And I was in town visiting. I'd moved out of town. And I was staying with her for a little while. And she's telling me, oh, it's $20. I got it at the thrift store, this, that, and whatever. And I said, girl, good for you. She was like, I'm going to, design my own wedding dress, put all this stuff on it, this, that, and whatever. I was like, good for you, because she'd been dating her boyfriend at this time like 8 or 9 years. And all her family said was they would maybe help her with like $1,000 towards her wedding. And of course, somebody with this grandiose personality and sense of existing thinks, oh, it should be $15,000. We got $14,000 more to cover. Very grandiose way of thinking. And she's like, yeah, so I'm going to get this dress, or, this is my dress, and I've got all these different designs for it that I'm going to put on, and I'm so excited. And she was like, so it's going to be around this time in July or something like that, or June, and it's going to be here, it's going to be there. She's like, but one thing I want to let you know, I know we're best friends, we've been through so much together, but I asked someone else to be my maid of honor because they're willing to help put money down on my wedding. I said, what? She was like, not that I was wishing to be a maid of honor, not that I was even thinking these people would ever get married. She goes, I had to pick this person because they're willing to pay for my wedding when my own family won't help me out and I need all the money I can get. It let me know right there how materialistic she was, and that the only thing she cared about was somebody giving her money. For me, I remember in that moment when she said that to me, and I've had these moments before where I completely just said, that's enough for me. It's like my mind, body, and soul become one, and it agrees to, we can no longer F with you. I'm done with that. I can't be around you anymore and thrive. I'm sorry. This is not a good feeling for me. Now, like I said, a few other things happened that led to me no longer having a friendship with this person, but I hope this explains a couple behaviors, mental, emotional, physical. This person's assaulting someone, and how unstable they are. That helps people to see like it's not okay to put up with this type of behavior, let alone, you guys, I know the only reason I was even called her a friend is because I wasn't even a friend of myself. That's the only reason I would allow that. you know, in the environment that I grew up in that I didn't even care, where I was like, oh, this is definitely, as you can see, distracting me from what I need to work on. All right, you guys, allow that to simmer.